Hi, welcome to the Penguin Post newspaper by Kate. Today we are interviewing Lucia Lazarowski. She studies how dogs detect things. Let's ask her some questions.
Why do you study dogs?
So I study dogs because I've just always loved dogs ever since I was a little kid. They just make me happy, and I'm always interested in why they do the things they do, what they're thinking. I've always had dogs, and I'm always watching them and thinking about what they're doing. And studying something that you really like just makes work so much more fun.
What are dogs thinking when it's alert?
So when a dog is alerting to something that it smells, it's because it's been trained to alert to it in order to get something really exciting, like a treat or a toy. So that's how they're trained to alert. They smell an odor, they alert, and they get something fun in exchange. So it's like it's the dog's job and it's getting paid in treats or toys. So when a dog smells an odor and that it's been rewarded for alerting to and it alerts, it's probably thinking, okay, here it is, I did my job, now I want my reward. So it's probably thinking that it's very excited that it's about to get something really cool.
What are some things that are very puzzling about dogs that detect?
So dogs' noses are millions of times better than ours. So a lot of times we don't actually know what it is that they're smelling. Sometimes dogs might alert to something that we can't see, that we don't know is there. They perceive odors differently than how we do, and we just don't have the technology yet to get to their level of accuracy. Dogs' noses are better than any machines that we have. So sometimes it's just a mystery what it is that they're smelling because we can't smell it and we can't see what it is that they're smelling.
What are some experiments that you have done with your dogs?
Some things we've looked at are how many odors dogs can learn to identify. So for example, we've trained dogs to detect a list of odors, and we keep adding odors to that list and increasing the number of odors to see how many they can keep learning before they've kind of reached a maximum and can't learn anymore. And if they can still remember the ones that they've learned before. And we found that dogs can learn lots and lots of odors, up to 40, which is the most that we've tested. So it's possible that they can learn more. And they learned all 40 odors. They could remember them all. They had no trouble in learning new odors. We've also looked at how long they can remember them. So we've trained dogs to detect a set of odors and then didn't show them those odors for a really long time, for a year. And then we brought them back after a year of never seeing those odors and tested them and found that even though they hadn't smelled those odors in 12 months, they could still remember them very well.
What is the dog thinking when it's going through MRI?
So the cool thing about MRI is that we can make the dog think about something to study what it is that we want to see. So what the dog is thinking about in the MRI depends on what we are presenting to it. So for example, we can show the dog different pictures when they're in their MRI. We can show them pictures of faces of people that they know or faces of dogs. We can present them different odors of smells of things that are familiar to them or smells of new things. So we can kind of ask them to think about something by showing them something and then look at how their brain responds when they're thinking about that. If we don't ask them to think about something, in our experience, when the dog is in the MRI and they're not doing anything, we're not showing them anything, they get so comfortable that they fall asleep. So they're very, very comfortable in there. It's pretty boring. We have to kind of keep showing them things to keep them awake so that we can actually look at their brain.
How do you think we can train family dogs to do some detecting work?
So a lot of people are already doing this. There's a new sport called nose work where people train their pets to use their noses to find different kinds of smells, and then they can compete at shows and competitions and win prizes. And it's pretty easy. It starts with just hiding treats, for example, or your dog's favorite toy, whatever it likes, hiding it around the house and asking your dog to use its nose and to find it. And then just make it more difficult by putting it in containers or in boxes, and then eventually teaching them to find specific odors. And some dogs are just naturally good at this. Some dogs just kind of do this and pick it up really quickly. Other dogs need more practice, but there are a lot of people that are actually using their pets to detect odors.
How do you test a detecting dogs and intelligence?
Yeah, so the way that we test dogs' intelligence is very much the same way that we test intelligence in people. So if you've ever had an intelligence test or an IQ test, it's usually you're being asked to do a puzzle or solve a problem. And so this is what we do with dogs. We can give a dog a puzzle to solve or a maze that it has to go through and see how long it takes to solve it, see if they can solve it by themselves. We can test memory, for example, by showing the dog a treat and hiding it in a certain location and then waiting a period of time and then asking the dog to remember where it was after some time has passed.
What are some key signs of dogs detecting body language?
Dogs are really good at reading our body language, and most of the time they're doing it without us realizing that they're doing it or without any obvious signs. So a good example, a lot of times like say that my dog can tell that we're about to go for a walk before I've even done anything, but it's probably because he's picking up on things that I don't realize I'm doing. Like when I get close to the end of my workday, I start checking my watch, and he's learned that when I do that, that means we're going for a walk soon, or if I put on my tennis shoes. So a lot of times dogs are reading our body language because they have learned that certain things that we do mean that something exciting is about to happen. And so they start paying attention to, oh, they just did something that means we're about to go for a walk or I'm about to get fed. Or it can be something bad is about to happen. So if your dog doesn't like getting a bath, they might pick up on subtle cues like you pick up the shampoo bottle or turn on a hose. And so if your dog changes the way that they're behaving, they get excited or they act like they're nervous or scared, and it doesn't seem like anything has happened, it's probably because it's something really subtle that you have done, something you've changed in your behavior that they've learned is a good predictor of what's going to happen next.
What is the coolest story about detecting dogs?
Gosh, there's a lot of cool stories. I think some of the coolest stories about detection dogs are when dogs seem to detect something even though they've never been trained to do that. So there's a lot of stories out there about dogs that discover that their owner is sick or has a disease before they're ever diagnosed, because the dog can actually smell the changes in the body when we're sick. And so they might notice that you're smelling different, and to them that's strange, and they haven't been taught to do this, but they notice that change and might start sniffing at you or pawing at you, just trying to figure out what's going on or just trying to get your attention. And again, these are dogs that do this without ever being trained. So I think that just really shows that this is a really natural behavior. Detecting odors is a really natural behavior for dogs to do. This is what they were born and bred to do. And because of that, we're able to work with them to really help keep people safe, that have them do jobs that are gonna save people's lives.
That was so cool. We learned a lot from you, and thank you for your time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.